Dude, there's only going to be 4 or 5 objections that you get in your industry. Become a master at it.
Yep.
And practice every single word that you say, because every single word matters.
What's going on today? We are excited to dive into the aspect of how to interact with your customers and how to give yourself the highest probability of success by the energy you give off to them.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners, Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden, share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of 2 of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
If you want to experience a moment of cognitive dissonance, hang out with Cameron for a few hours and then go knock doors with Cameron. Because Cameron, it's not like you're 2 different people, but I want to better understand the psychology that you go through in your mind for me to get this Cameron, who actually I'm glad you're smiling now, because for the most part, you're like, get business done, you show up, you're fun, but like you're really not at work. It's
Dang, that's messed up, man.
it's success. It's driving, it's driving success. Okay. But you get on the doors. You're Mr. Hi, how are you? Cameron, Green Mango Pest. It's a weird feeling for me to see. It's weird for me to see. Why do you do that?
I know what you have to be in order to sell, and the melancholy Cameron isn't going to sell. Gotcha. And I quickly realized that the first couple doors of Green Mango, because I never worked for anyone else.
We're talking 14 years ago.
Yeah, 2010, Dusty's like, hey, let's start a pest control company, and we're going to knock doors. I'm like, I knock doors on my mission, but religion and, pest control is completely different. Knocked on the door, and I started like the melancholy Cameron, and it's just like quick slam, quick slam, quick slam. And then I'd see Dusty, like, Dusty does that to a degree as well. Like Dusty's pretty out there more than I am, but he flips a switch too. And so just naturally in my head, I'm thinking, okay, like if I want to sell, I got to become a different person on the doors. You always make fun of me when I think of you. It's the little Mayo energy. Yeah. So a lot of people like mix that in water. I would just
16 ounces of water.
I would just carry like a little Mayo, like, they're like this big. And before every door, I just like take a little hit, man. And it'd be like, and then the poor wife would come to the door, dude. I'd just go ham on her. But the point is, like, you need to understand your audience. And this is what I want to talk about today. It's so frustrating when people don't understand how important it is to relate with people and how to find common ground. One of my favorite things at Tommy's shop, and we talk about him a lot because he does so many things so well, is that they have like 4 or 6 different garages, and each garage is a different like type of person. One's a boater, one's a motorcyclist, one's into Harleys, and it's like they're role playing depending on what's on the wall. And so one of our highest lead sources was John Jay and Rich. And to give you an example of this, when a salesman would get on the phone, someone would be like, yeah, we heard about you from John Jay and Rich. And they'd be like, so like what insects do you have? Like, clearly they're a fan. And I would listen to John Jay and Rich every single morning. 1, because they were entertaining for me. But 2, I wanted to hear what they were into and, what topics they were talking about. So when someone said, hey, I heard about you on John Jay and Rich, it was like, dude, did you hear the second date update this morning? Did you hear the War of the Roses? Oh, yeah. And then we start laughing about it for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. The wall comes down. And then it's like, oh, yeah, let me hook you up with some pest control. John Jay, they love us, man. What's the square footage of your home? And now it's a friend. And that's one of the most important things for sales is, in my opinion, is 1, you got to push down that barrier. And one of the ways to do it is find common ground. And most of the time people will tell you what the common ground is. If you're in person, look for the car, look for the sports memorabilia around. Maybe there's dance shoes, like whatever it might be, like find that for them and start talking about it and be well versed enough so that just enough to get yourself in trouble. Like, I know you're not about sports fans, but I know you can you know enough to carry on a conversation with someone.
Yep. I check the news every morning just to make sure I'm up to date.
No, you don't.
I do.
Really?
Just a couple minutes on Yahoo.
But why do you do that now?
Just to
Because
like,
you know your employees are into it?
yeah, they all talk about it. And I don't want to be that guy that's always like, oh, we don't know. So sometimes I'll bring up conversation with people that I
Who
don't know
does Luka
entirely.
play for now?
What do you mean?
Who does Luka?
The LA Lakers.
Dang, bro.
I saw him go against.
Just so you know, I don't think we've never been to a sporting event in
No.
14 years of being friends and
But
partners.
did you see that 3-pointer he did
No.
against the Suns?
Don't big league me like this.
Dude, it was wild. Kevin Durant, he was going up against Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant says, you're not going to do that in the playoffs. Right after that, dude, Luka does a little dribble, does a step back 3-pointer. And Luka says, you can't guard me.
But this is like
30
this
seconds
is
on
so,
YouTube. That's how I saw
But
it.
to my point, like if people don't know you and they heard you just communicate how you did, they're like, Evan's a huge sports fan. Because you're not.
No.
You won't even
Not at
come
all.
over for a game.
No, I don't watch sports.
Like, hey, everyone's coming over to watch the Suns tonight or watch the Super Bowl. You're like, nah,
No thanks.
I'll stay home and
Yeah.
knit.
Yeah. But here's what I'd say. That I think you said something super important is not a lot of people have that switch. And so here's what I would say. Take a look at the last 10 times where you transacted with somebody as the consumer and why did you transact with that person? I generally sell in a way that where I consume the most and I buy the most to people who are unattached to the sale. And so when I sell, I try to be very unattached from the outcome, but I position the actual conversation that I'm your resolution to the headache that you have. You can go with a bunch of other companies, or you can go with someone that's tested, time tested, approved by most every neighbor that you have, and you're not going to have to go around and calling a bunch of different companies. But like I said, you have a lot of options. I'd love to take care of you. And I would say in our worlds, we have similar closing rates. So if you are someone that doesn't have that switch that, like in the Lego movie with like the bad cop and the good cop where he just switches his face in his helmet, it's almost like that. If you don't have that ability to increase the energy, just try to pay attention to what people buy. Sales is a transfer of energy, but also it's just helping people understand that, hey, I'm your solution to a problem that you're having. Mm-hmm. And so if you are a noble person,
but the problem is a lot of people like they don't take the bait. They'll be like, hey, I got an issue with scorpions or like my rug. And they'll be like, okay, so your couch or, crickets. They don't talk to the specific problem.
Correct. And that's
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's like, gosh, man.
I think that highlights it just as much is that if you are afraid of tapping into a level of you that you haven't tapped into yet as far as energy, just make sure you're a good listener. So if you're listening to people and they say, I had the perfect example. I was listening to a sales call at Coconut the other day, and I hear this. I don't hear the customer, but I hear, yep, so the couch is going to be $200. Oh, you want to talk to your spouse about it? And I'm like, okay, that's a terrible way to address that. Oh, okay. Well, okay, so what time can I call you back? I'm like, oh my gosh. He hangs up. And I said, what was the objection? He said, they want to talk to their spouse. I said, that's the smoke screen. The objection, I said, when did they say that? He's like, right after I said the price.
Right.
I said, you lost them at not building enough value to that price. He said, $20, you can't close them. I get on the phone and I said, hey, what's her name? He said, Olivia. I remember that because that's my mom's name. I said, Olivia, this is Evan. Didn't say the owner. I said, this is Evan with Coconut Cleaning. I just heard you talking with Kendon. And when you chose to pick up the phone and give us a call, did you intend to just get some information, then to go talk to your husband and all to just call us back again? No, I just the price was a little bit much. I said, did he tell you what we're going to do to your couch? No.
Easy, man. Easy.
Yeah. She said, no. I said, how long have you had the couch? 5 years. I love it. All my kids love it. It cost us $5,000. I said, are you willing to pay the $200 to get your $5,000 couch back? Yeah. I said, so let's not make this a big ordeal. Do you prefer morning or afternoon? Tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, fine. But I said, dude, you heard the objection was I need to talk to my spouse. I can't even hear what she's saying, but I heard you say the price, and then I hear you say, oh, you want to talk to your spouse?
Yeah.
It's like You need to be a good listener. You don't have to be always amped up in excitement. Sometimes people buy, most of the times people buy when they just feel heard and they feel like you're not thinking about whatever you benefit from the transaction rather than their problem being solved.
Well, that's why understanding your pitch and, your flow, the way in which you say it, but also what you say makes all the difference, right? And so one of the things for us in pest control, we never wanted to use the word chemical. We just wanted to use the product.
Yep.
And, and so I was listening to Mark today, and there's an environmental fee that we charge because we have to go out and get all this nasty, crappy water. And then
so you're saying he didn't say environmental fee?
No, man.
That's so weird to me.
And I wish I could remember how he phrased it, but he's basically like, it's a service fee charge. Like, I took the interpretation was, oh, you're charging me for your gas to come out. Like, that's how I interpreted it, because I was just kind of like walking, listening. Yeah. And I'm like, Mark, what happened to, hey, man, like, this is the environmental fee. He's like, I don't like explaining it when people ask what it is. I'm like, well, just so you know, how I heard that as the consumer is, not only are you going to charge me $200 to come out, but you're adding another fake $1,400 in gas money.
Here's a $14 inconvenience fee of just you inconveniencing my time.
Well, that's, and so if you're a salesman, that's what the greatest topic that I love the greatest training principle that I love is like when you're in a circle and you just start throwing out objections and it's like, go.
King of the Hill,
next one, go. And so how many times do people stutter on, I got to talk to my spouse?
Even my head, I might totally understand. Like in my head, it's just initial. Like,
yeah, but most people can't do it. It's so funny. Tommy was texting me today, and he sent me this thing on Instagram of like when someone says they need to talk to their spouse, and he's just like crying, because it's like everyone's thing. But like, dude, there's only going to be 4 or 5 objections that you get in your industry. Become a master at it, and practice every single word that you say, because every single word matters.
Even back to the instance of, oh, you need to talk to your spouse. Like even hearing that, I said, what the heck are you doing? That's as if you heard it for the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that tells me he doesn't know how to overcome it. He's got tongue tied.
And so whether you're an owner trying to teach your people on how to sell at your level, whether you are just a salesman in your industry, at the end of the day, sales is a transfer of energy. And I think we could probably hold 10 podcasts, whether we talk about body language, tonality, the words you choose to say. The bottom line is that if the constraint for you to get tens of thousands of dollars per month in commissions or revenue is your ability to just master the art of that sale in your industry or your company, the great thing about sales is that your tuition is just your time. All you have to do is spend a little bit more time role playing, a little bit more time being intentional, and then create some goals and metrics and how you want to measure how you're doing with your sales. And then I think you're going to notice your sales start to skyrocket. But then you're also going to notice the next time you go try to get another apartment or a house to rent, that it's not about you're negotiating everything and you're being obnoxious about it, but you will find yourself feeling a lot more uncomfortable in scenarios where you previously felt like you had no say. And you actually find out that most everything happening around you is some sort of transaction. And the more you start learning on how you can impact a transaction and take control of it, you're going to do all the better. Like even Cameron tries this on me when we talk about growth, equity, money, all that stuff. He'll always just say, go ahead. But he knows that I know that he thinks that the first person to talk loses. And so I just sit there with my arms folded. I just say, you can't see it, but I say, you go ahead. But that's the point though, is that even in interactions with your own friends or family members, whatever it is, whether you're trying to convince your spouse to go get this food or not, your ability to articulate what it is that you want and also address someone else's needs is one of the best skills that you could learn. And in my opinion, it will have an ROI in every department of your business and in your personal life and in your marriage as well.
Yeah, one of my favorite things when I've obviously had a lot of time to reflect on Green Mango. Like one of my favorite time is when Liz could literally like give my pitch for me, because she listened to me give thousands of pitches on the phone. And like it just all comes down to people being lazy. Once again, your industry is so specific. I had like 3 or 4 different pitches, and that's it.
Yep.
And I closed a lot of accounts, and I was deliberate about how I went about each pitch, and very focused on like the way that I said it, how I said it, if it was in person, the body language. And I studied it, but I took that time to figure out what it was, and then I just memorized it, mastered it. And so again, if you're one of those guys that's sitting back like, I'm so frustrated, I can't believe that I can't be this amazing salesman. It's like, dude, memorize 2 pitches and get them down perfectly, and you can probably use those every single time.